All right. Thank you all for joining us for the FY22 Sheila program for day 2 of the Summer Summit. It is called Donning the Confidence Cape, Embracing Your STEM Powers with our special guest, Tamara Robertson. So if you have not already done this, please make sure that you have completed your pre-session survey. If you look to the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little QR code that you can use your mobile device to click into that survey right now. We love to hear your feedback. It'll help us as we continue on in the program to know kind of where you're at and where we'll end up at the end of the program. So make sure that you're completing that. Okay, so of course I can assume you guys know who I am, but in case you don't, good evening. My name is Marquita Riley. I am your host for the evening and pretty much all of the Sheila program, but you'll see a couple other people as well. I am the Student and Outreach Programs Learning Associate for SWE HQ. So of course you're here for this session, and I want to thank you for coming out tonight, and I hope to continue to see you all throughout the program. A couple housekeeping items that I want to do first. As always, we want to say a special thank you to our Sheila sponsors, Motorola Solutions Foundation and Turner Construction. For without them, you know we could not bring you this program, virtual or live. So I thank them each and every time because we want to make sure that we show them love. If you can show them love in the chat, that'd be great. Another couple things that I want to make sure that we cover is going to be the learning outcomes, or what we now use as a term, quick win. So I'll get into that in just a second, but make sure that you understand the sessions. Right now, we are on Central Time for all the sessions, so they all start at 6:30 p.m. CT. I know we are all over the globe right now coming to this session, so make sure that you are on Central Time when you're thinking about coming into a given session, because again, we will not be letting anyone in prior to the start. You'll be in the waiting room. That does not mean your link doesn't work. It just means you have to wait until we have officially started the program, okay? On deck for tomorrow will be our radical acceptance of who you are with Dina Shippa. Please remember that this session is recorded, but we will also make sure that because it's recorded, it's offered to you on demand within the Google Classroom, and it'll also be made available in the Sheila playlist. Again, all of your takeaway assignments will be giving you like a quick notification. If you have already been accepted into the Sheila Google Classroom, you'll get that notification. If not, we also make sure that you get a reminder email before the session starts, and at the end of the session, you also will get another email to let you know that the Google Classroom has now had the takeaway assignment added to it as well. I'll do a little more detail after we get into our session tonight. Make sure that you all are engaged, and if there is an opportunity for you to speak, go ahead and speak. But until then, make sure that you are muted so that we don't pick up too much noise, because you know we are on demand recording right now. So again, please take advantage of every opportunity to speak when you are given that chance. But if you're not one of those people that are very vocal, go ahead and make sure that you're typing your questions into the chat. It can also be unrelated. If it's just simply tech support questions, you can go ahead and type that in the chat, and we'll have somebody get to you as soon as possible. Woo! Got through that. Also, we want to make sure that we get into our host for the evening, okay? Because I'm not going to do all the talking. Somebody else has to share the responsibility, right? So let's get into our host for the evening that is going to be taking you through this session. So what she's going to do by the end of the session, you'll be able to understand the difference between defining your origin story as a form of guidance and your origin story defining your future. Recognize the process of failing forward and how important it is for sharpening your leadership skills. Identify your strengths and weaknesses to find your STEM powers and how to fuel them for your passion to have a successful STEM career. All right. So who is this cool chick on this slide right now with this awesome superhero outfit on? She's a real rock star in real life and a real superhero in real life, happens to be an engineer, and also has been on TV. If you haven't seen her before, she's been on what was that? Mythbusters as well. So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Miss Tamara Robertson. Show her some love in the chat, guys.
Hey, everyone. I am so excited to be here and to be talking with all of you today. As Marquita said, I'm going to be talking to you about some STEM superpowers and superheroes. So anyone that knows me knows that outside of being a Mythbuster, I'm also a superhero scientist. So I will kind of just jump right into it with my screen share. So I'll still be here. I've got, both Miss Mary and Miss Marquita helping me with chat and everything else. So if you guys need anything, please raise your hands, let them know, and they will make sure that I am aware, okay? So I will be right back. Who can share? Oops, sorry. I will be back when I figure out how to do this. 1 second, there it is. Share sound. Okay, so as Marquita was saying, I am from Mythbusters. So to give you a little bit of a taste of what I am known for outside of being in this room right now.
From day one, biomolecular engineer Tamara has shown construction expertise and science savvy.
Science.
A born tinkerer, she played a key role in some of the most successful builds in the series. And her elite project management grit and determination saw her take out 2 MVPs. First for Needle in a Haystack, and then the myth of the vacuum cleaner climber.
Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome. Good work today.
When I started this journey, I was just really hoping to make the girls in science proud, and I'm definitely gonna carry this as a badge of honor this week because I think I'm doing it.
So obviously that show made it so that I became a name that people knew in their living rooms because of their television. But way before I ever landed on television with Mythbusters, I first became a chemical and biomolecular engineer. And so I'm going to be utilizing both of those skill sets tonight to talk to you all about confidence, about how to be able to build your brand and be able to combine your passions with the powers that you already have in a way that helps you to advance in your career and to really have that confidence and who you are. Now, the reason that confidence is so important for all of us as young women, as women in STEM, is because while women hold 47% of college educated jobs, they only hold 24% of STEM jobs. And research over and over again has shown that there is no reason that we're not in these fields. We don't have any limitations when it comes to our math skills or our science skills or our ability to pursue any STEM career. What we lack is the confidence to believe in ourselves. So what they have seen is that 3/4 of young women worry about failing, and that's what keeps them from pursuing STEM further. So when we start to look at it going beyond that too, you see that when it comes to like applying for STEM groups, STEM awards, STEM competitions, STEM jobs, guys tend to always go and leap, even if they only match 60% of the qualifying criteria, they apply. But we as women tend to not apply unless we get 100% of those criteria matched. So we're being held back in instances where, our male counterparts are not, because they just simply leap. They take that leap of faith. And so what I want to do today is I want to teach you all where your confidence cape lives, what defines it, and how to actually put it on in the moment so that you can move beyond this, because you all are at the age right now where there is 150% increase in the belief that you're not allowed to fail. And that's a big percentage. So we want you guys to know that failing is important, especially in STEM. You need to be able to design, try, fail, retry, try again, fail again, and keep going, because iteration is the key to success. And so we'll talk a little bit more about failing forward as well. So I'm going to jump back into the things, and we will be doing breakout sessions and all kinds of fun things today. So it won't be death by PowerPoint, I promise. But I will be sharing my screen on occasion when we need to have some visual backup. So going back into the PowerPoint. So as I said, my talk today is donning the confidence cape. And if anyone has seen, there's that statue of the little girl that's facing off the bull in New York. I kind of replicated it here in my Robin costume, just for a little bit of fun. But all of you will determine today what your confidence cape is and where you can find it. So coming in today, you all had some pre-work, and part of that was looking at where your journey started, because one of the biggest takeaways that I hope that you leave today with is that where your journey starts doesn't define where it ends. You do. Because if you had told that little girl in that picture that she was ever going to make it out of a no stoplight town, being born to 2 military parents in a family where no one had ever gone to college, I would have told you that you had no idea what you were talking about, because my story was written for me the day I was born, I thought, as a kid. And it wasn't until I came across mentors and teachers that cared enough to tell me that I could be more than I thought I could be more than my community thought I could be, and I could definitely be more than those boys were telling me I could be while I was playing with tools in the shop, that I was able to then move beyond it. But it is something where we all start somewhere. And what we call that is your origin story. So your origin story infuses everyday life and relations with significance that's explained and gives guidance based on where you've been in the past. And what that then does is it starts to shape where you go in the future if you don't actually start putting some thought into what you want to be instead of what that narrative is. And so here are just a couple different origins that exist within me. There's me in the Santa hat as an origin of a student. This is like kindergarten for me. There's me in the middle, where that is the very first role I ever got in television. So that was a whole different origin jump off for me. There's me as a puppy mom. I had just gotten my shop dog, Dexter. I'd only had him a couple weeks at this point. He is now 17 and we've had 15 years together. So that story just keeps on going. And then down at the bottom was the minute that I became an engineer. That was when I got my chemical and biomolecular engineering degree. Now, what this goes to show you is that you are going to have a lot of different origin stories that define you. And you get to choose which ones those are, because there are a lot of other things that I have been in life, but these are the things that matter the most to me. Being a puppy mom, being an engineer, being in science communication and television, being a lifelong student. These origin stories are part of my history, and they're going to be part of my future because I want them to be. But your origin story doesn't have to be. You can shape that. And so what you all did for your pre-work was you all sat down and you looked at your strengths, your weaknesses, and then you defined your origin stories. So what I want you to do right now is forget about the strengths and weaknesses. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I want you all to break out into the rooms, and I want you to take some time to share your origin stories with each other, because it's going to let people know who you think you are, who you believe you are, and who you hope to be in the future based on the origin stories that you want to share. And if you put down an origin story that maybe you don't want to share, or maybe you don't want to have define you forever, you can feel free to not share that one. Share parts of your origin story that you want to shape who you are, because that's how you start to have that confidence in who you're going to be next. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 10 minutes. We're going to break into breakout rooms. We're going to share our origin stories, and then we're going to come back. And when you do, if you do want to share, let us know. Come back and put your hand up when we call you back, and we'll take a couple people to share their origin stories. Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up the rooms in a second. Just a quick note, if you are HQ tech support or the like, go ahead and do not join when you see it. But all students, please click the join button in order to enter your breakout room, okay? 10 minutes is on the clock.
Okay. And I popped into a few rooms and was kind of like a fly on the wall. And anytime we're in a breakout room, if you all get done early, spend that time getting to know each other further beyond just the prompts that we've talked about, because networking is so vital, which I'm sure Scijinks talks to you all about a lot. Not only having that stepwise mentor that you have with someone that's in their field already, or a teacher or a coach, but also your peer mentoring is really important, because you guys can ask each other questions about competitions that you've been in or that you want to get in, and you can ask about setting up clubs. There's lots of benefits to having that peer mentorship relationship. And so throughout today, as you get chances to do so, make those connections, share, whatever form of communication you guys enjoy, whether it's like social media or whatnot. Just make sure that you're getting to cross-pollinate and get to know each other, because you guys all have, like you just saw, different origin stories and different paths. So you have lots of lessons to share. Okay, are probably all back?
Yes, everyone's back.
Awesome. So, I know that you all shared your origin stories with each other in the rooms. Is there anyone that would like to share their origin story here with us now?
Make sure that you
Put a
raise
hand up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can catch you and don't miss you.
And so, and just some of the things I heard while we're waiting to see if someone wants to volunteer and share their story were a lot of the things that I expected. Some of you have been inspired to go into STEM, into Scijinks, into these kind of programs because of a teacher. Others of you are from legacy STEM families. You grew up with engineers and you kind of grew up around tinkering and everything. So that mentality has always been there. And then there's also some of you that decided that you just wanted to do it because you were already in these magnet schools where you were being pushed to excel. And so you knew that you could do well in math and science, and you didn't have any doubt about your ability. So that's great, because all of these things are things that help gain confidence. So again, whether it's a family member that's walked this course that can help steer you through it, or a teacher that's able to give you the advice for what you need to be able to get the right classes or scholarship or funding, or it's just that already that you have that confidence that you can go to college and do well in that math and science curricula. All of these are things that help you build that confidence. Now, do we have a volunteer?
There was a hand, but it disappeared. I don't want to push you, but if you're still interested, you can speak now.
Good. Yeah, it's all
okay. Go ahead.
Go.
Yeah, awesome.
So my name is Jasneet. I'm from Kansas, and I'm going to be a senior this year. I guess my origin story started freshman year. My high school has a design academy. It's centered around all like project-based courses and things like that. So I guess I got really interested and I got pushed into it around 9th grade. And I really love my teachers, and they helped me like pursue and like continue my interests in engineering.
I love that. So in that design aspect is so important when we talk about building that confidence. You've gotten to try to design something and see how it might fail and how it might succeed, and then build the next revolution and iterate on that. So is there any large failure that you had that you learned something from that you'd like to share?
So last year I had a project with a 3D printer, and I was supposed to make a mug, and I didn't do the calculations right, or I picked the wrong film for the 3D printer. And when I picked up my mug, my handle like completely just broke off, just snapped off. Mm-hmm. I was like, when my finals week, I was really stressed out, but I finally figured out what I did wrong. So I rebuilt it really quickly, and everything turned out well.
Very cool. And that's what it's all about, is being able to have that confidence to try again. So we can get one more person that wants to share perhaps?
Excellence. I'm going to pick you.
Thank you for sharing.
Hi, my name is Excellence. Like technology and like STEM have been like part of my family. Like my mom is a data scientist, and my dad, he's an engineer, and also part of my dad's family is also in it. So my dad was just like, oh, let's get her into this. So at like age 9, he put me into my first STEM camp. and I really enjoyed it. And at 10, I learned how to code in Scratch, and I have been moving on from that. So now I know how to code in Python and HTML and CSS and stuff. And now I'm going to learn JavaScript once I get back into school. So I guess that's it. Oh, and now I've like expanded into teaching others how to code.
That's amazing. And so part of that is really cool is that you've now taken it, you've tried it, you've learned lessons along the way, and now you're mentoring other people. So you're going to be able to enable them to have more confidence because you can share some of the lessons you've learned, which will take away some of the pitfalls that they might hit. And so that's one of the hugest benefits of a mentor, is that if they're walking a similar path to you, they're able to share those failings. So just like your mentor can do that for you, now you can do that for someone else. And so we'll get into the importance of mentoring at the end, but I absolutely love all of this. And so I didn't share a lot of my origin story, and I do want to share that now because one of the things that little girl growing up in that no stoplight town did know growing up that whole way was the military. So as I said, I was born to 2 Marines, and that was the only course that I knew of. And so in high school, I ended up finding out about military academies. And so my junior year, I applied to the U.S. Air Force Academy. And so you guys may or may not know this, but in order to go to a military academy, you have to have an appointment. And so that appointment can either come from a senator, a congressman, a president, a vice president, or House of Representative member. So I applied for all 5. And I was actually really lucky. I got 4 out of the 5. I got the presidential, vice presidential, congressional, and senatorial appointments. And so I went into my senior year for the first time feeling like I might get to go to college because I knew my parents couldn't afford to help me. And I, at the time, having no one in my life that had been to college, didn't know about scholarships. I didn't know about grants. I didn't know about the FAFSA. I didn't realize that there were all of these opportunities to get help funding college. So I was very excited. I also cheered through middle school, high school. I had good academics. So when I graduated, I also had turned down 3 different rides, full scholarships, and one of them being to NC State, which is my alma mater. Some of you may have seen in the chat. And the reason that NC State is my alma mater is that in June, after my senior year, after I had gotten my appointments and I had turned down the full rides, I got a letter from the U.S. Air Force Academy telling me that my childhood asthma had made it so that I was not going to be going to the academy. And so months before, literally not even 2 full months before I was supposed to start my freshman year of college, everything fell apart. And I was standing there in the middle of a no stoplight town with no options, I felt. I was really lucky that in my junior year, when I was doing the academy application process, I had a coach help me to do that had a full military career. And so when everything fell apart and I thought there was no options and the world was ending and the sky was falling, he sat me down and said, "Have you ever thought about a technical school?" And I didn't know what that was. And so he helped me learn about community colleges. I signed up for my local community college in a associate's and actually arts program at the time, because I still thought I needed to do the military. So I was going to go and I was going to get a history major and I was going to go into JAG and I was going to do my military career that way. Well, by the end of my freshman year, I had my history major and I had 6 minors, most of them being in math and sciences. And so I had a teacher sit me down and ask me why I had never considered engineering. And I laughed at her and I said that girls don't get to do that. Because the truth was, the only engineer I had ever seen was Scotty from Star Trek on television. I didn't know any engineers in person. I had never seen a female engineer. And so it was something to me that just wasn't an option because I didn't know it existed. And so she took me on a field trip with the rest of the associate in science pre-engineering group. And I went up to NC State. I sat in a material science class. And for the very first time, I felt engaged and challenged in a classroom. They didn't have the internet when I was growing up. They got the internet in college, and we didn't have magnet schools as an option in my hometown. And so being challenged wasn't something I was used to. I was very used to always being right. So when I started engineering school and I started to not do well for the first time ever in my life, it was very hard for me. But I was very lucky that I had joined as a junior. I was an upperclassman transferring in. And so I was able to really be more grounded in who I was and what I wanted and why I was there, because I was working 4 jobs. And for part of college, I lived in my car so that I could afford tuition and books. And it was never a question of what I was doing. I knew that I was in it because I wanted that degree. And so having that confidence in where you want to get next, rather than being tied to where you were before, is what's going to help you continue that path, because there's going to be hard moments. There's going to be grades that aren't the grades you wanted. There's going to be classes that aren't the classes you enjoy. There's going to be people that maybe you don't want to be in a group with. But if you know why you're there and you know where you came from, you can have that confidence to move forward. And so jumping back into our slideshow, I would say to you, in life, just like in science, keep that curiosity, be adaptable, be resilient, because that failure, that rebuilding, that trying again, that putting it all out there, that iteration is key to success. And I say that not just from someone that had that origin story for engineering, but as someone that has been on 4 first season shows. So even in science communication, I have hit the wall every single time. You know, I have had so much fun along the way, because at the end of the day, it's never been about the show. It's never been about the fame. You guys saw it in that first slide. For me, it's just showing that we as females and as engineers and as makers and as tinkerers can hold our own in any shop, in any plant, and any facility. And the truth is that we should, because women in STEM fields make 35% more than equivalent women in non-STEM fields. Women in STEM fields make 40% more than men in non-STEM fields. So let the hard stuff come, let the failure come, because if you're not failing, you're not pushing that boundary. And if you're not pushing that boundary, you're not changing the world. You're not trying to cure cancer. You're not trying to end global warming. You're not out there trying to figure out how to get clean water to everyone. If you're hiding in your comfort zone and you're too afraid to fail to push forward. So I tell you, don't fake it till you make it. Learn it till you earn it, and go into STEM fields. Now, the other part of your pre-assignment was to look at your strengths and your weaknesses. And the reason is that we all have strengths. We all are unique and we bring different things. Our weaknesses are just road bumps. They're not walls. So as long as we as people can say, you know, for instance, I know that I have the attention span of a goldfish. I used to tell my managers that, and I had a manager late in my career say, you should say, I enjoy a new challenge and can learn quickly, instead of, I get bored easy and have the attention span of a goldfish. And it's what leads to me being a lifelong learner. So I took something that was a firm weakness, especially with how I was describing it, and I figured out what benefit it could bring me. And what it brings me is I can acquire skills faster than anyone else I know, and I wear a lot of hats. So what I want all of you to do is you'll go into your breakout rooms. You can share a strength. It's always good to start with a strength, but for every strength you share, you need to share 2 weaknesses, okay? And I want you to sit down and share one at a time and talk with each other about maybe some new skills that could help with that, or maybe some ways to navigate around it. And again, remember, if you have extra time, which I'm hoping you won't, because you should have made enough of a list that you can talk through a few of these, but if you have extra time, network with each other until you're called back, okay? Any questions before we go into the break rooms? Throw them in the chat and I will stop the sharing so that you can do that. But other than that, I think that we're good to throw them into the break rooms. And
All
remember,
right,
you're pulling this from your assignments. Sorry.
Yes, no, you're fine. And there are a few of you who have joined late, so I'm going to go ahead and move you into a room now, so no worries there. Welcome back again.
Looks like everyone is coming back. So I did some popping around while you guys were all in your breakout rooms, and it looks like there's definitely some great discussion going on. I heard some sharings about negative thoughts being one of the things that keeps you back. So like negative thoughts is definitely something that really honestly everyone deals with, and it's something that can really control you if you don't find a way to look at it with curiosity. So we're all here because we love STEM. That means that we're honestly already curiosity linked. So if you find that you're having negative thoughts and you just look at them, and instead of letting them, eat away at you and start to bring you down, look at them with curiosity and start to say, okay, what does that mean? And why is that something that I'm experiencing right now? So maybe you are saying to yourself, well, I just got a bad grade on that and I'm just stupid and I'm never going to be good at math. Maybe be curious about it and go, well, but why did I really get a worse grade? Did I have a sports game this week that took a lot of my attention? Did I have a project this week that I spent too much time putting off and then I had to rush do it and I didn't get to study? What is it that actually caused me to not do well? Because if you can figure out why you feel the way you feel, and then actually rationally look at it and say, well, okay, that's what I'm saying to myself. That's the story I'm telling myself, is I didn't do well in that test because I'm just bad at math. But if you're curious about it and you think about it more in depth, like a scientist would, logically, like a scientist or engineer would, and say, but really, up until now, I've been pretty good at math. But if I'm honest, I didn't study a lot. And why didn't I study a lot? Well, I didn't study a lot because I put off that project. Why did I put off that project? Because I was procrastinating. Why did I procrastinate? Because that's also a negative trait. Maybe it's because there were way cooler things to do. And that's okay to admit, because as people that are highly excelling in your fields, you're going to be working a whole lot and you're going to be studying a whole lot. Recognizing that you're procrastinating because you need a little bit of a break is okay. And you take that break and you do some self-care and some self-healing, and then you can be nice to yourself the next time. So all of these negative thoughts that come through, look at them with the curiosity you would look at, say, a bug going through the grass. It's a cool thing. It's going by, but it doesn't have to crawl on you. It doesn't have to bite you. You don't have to invite it into your home. Just let that bug keep going. And the more that you can start to look at these negative thoughts in that way, the better off that you're going to be. And it's not easy, and it's something that'll be there all the time. But what I tell people is, if you wouldn't let your friends say it to you, should you really be saying it to yourself? So, has anyone raised their hands that would like to share a weakness that they shared in the room? Obviously, we've covered negative thoughts and procrastination. So if you have something else that you talked about in the room that you feel like you could share a workaround or a potential new skill to help counteract it, raise your hand.
Yes, we have a hand in the house. You can go ahead and speak, Jasmine, or is it Tessa and Jasmine? Sorry, you guys came in at the same time. I'm gonna go with Tessa first.
And we can do two. So we'll do Jasmine next.
Okay, okay.
Okay, I was gonna say overthinking things, where it can also tie in with procrastination of putting things off because you know it's gonna overwhelm you, or not knowing where to start with something because you overthink it and stuff. So it's often my best workaround is just try to find the simplest part of it that you can try to accomplish and work from there.
I love that. You know, one of my dad's favorite things to say to me when I start to get overwhelmed is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so being able to take very complex goals and break them down into large, medium, small, and daily goals is something that's going to define your ability to excel at everything, whether it's learning a sport or doing a large project or building that crazy thing that you want to build in the garage. Being able to set those timelines based on achievable goals can be very helpful. So I, for instance, have a bullet journal that I keep my annual goals in. Each month, at the start of the month, I pull some of those goals to be for that month. I then each week look at those monthly goals. I don't go back to the annual because those will have their time in the next month. And then I build out my weekly goals. And then at the start of each day, while I'm having my coffee, I sit down and I say, well, which ones do I think I can tackle today? And then I go piece by piece, and eventually I eat an elephant. So if you guys feel overwhelmed, just know the smallest step forward is better than just staying in place. So great sharing. Thank you. Jasmine?
Hi. So, what I said was definitely time management, kind of like the overthinking and putting things off, but kind of breaking up my day, because I know that I have a lot to get done and I am not the best at organizing it, and I'm kind of at the spot where I need somewhere to put it down, but then I'm not very good at that, but then it's too much for me to keep in my head. And Shreya was actually really, really sweet, and she recommended the Microsoft To-Do app. So if anybody else is struggling with that, you can also use it. Thank you again, Shreya.
Very cool. Yeah, there's lots of those time management apps out there. And the nice thing about them is, again, going back to that being overwhelmed and needing a break, a lot of those time management apps will actually allow you to build in little break periods. So if you have something that you know you're going to have to spend all day on, looking at it instead in 20-minute intervals on, 10-minute intervals off, can make it so that you're not overwhelmed by it. It's kind of like, you know, if you're trying to do a really weird diet or something, you have to have those cheat days, right? It's the same thing with time management. If you're pushing yourself too hard, you want to make sure that you take some time off, and you kind of give those little cheat moments where you're able to, you know, cruise the social media for a minute, and now you don't have to worry that you missed anything, you know, and then you go back to your work. I do want to go back, and Jasmine, I want to thank you so much for sharing. There's something that comes in parallel with negative thoughts, and that's negative self-talk. And so when we say we're not good at certain things, it starts to whittle away at our confidence, and we're all bad at it. Believe me, I am not good at remembering my own teachings in the moments when I'm having hard days. And so it's something that I know when I say I'm not, I try to make myself pause and remember the times that I was good at it, because little by little, it'll just give you that confidence to know that while you might not be doing it as good as you would like, you're actually a lot better at it than you used to be, or than most people that you know, or than you were yesterday. So if we can start to remember that we're all learning and we're all evolving every single day and give ourselves grace, it can help us to build that confidence too. So thank you for sharing. And You are good at it. You're going to be great at it. And now you have an app that's going to help you be even better each day. And by the time we get back to you next year, I bet you'll be a pro at time management. Okay. Well, awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to go back into our presentation and we're going to just hit on a couple more things before our next breakout, if I can do this the correct way. Okay, and so we did that. I keep ending up in this advanced sharing thing. Okay, so what you guys talked about today, or what you ladies talked about today, was some of your weaknesses. And hopefully you also got to share some of the things that you do well. And what enables you to do that is the fact that you're helping each other work through their weaknesses. So when it comes to what we perceive as just us strengths and just us weaknesses, we're starting to realize that everyone struggles with similar things. And we've all gone down a similar path when it comes to trying to figure out how to get that big project done and not put it off, and how to manage our time, and how to make sure that we're nice to ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones we got to get through the journey with. So, you know, keeping that positive self-talk, positive thought patterns as much as possible. And it's not easy. It's a constant thing that you're going to work on. But again, remember, say to yourself the things you hope your friends will say to you. Be your own cheerleader, be your own cheerleading squad. Because what ends up happening is your ability to navigate your weaknesses and utilize them to your strength, as well as utilizing and recognizing your strengths, develops what we call your STEM powers. So obviously superpowers, we all understand as some imaginary superhuman thing that is the key attribute to a superhero. But we as individuals, understanding our weaknesses and our strengths and our ability to navigate our weaknesses and our ability to attain new strengths is what defines our attributes as STEM heroes. And so, for instance, I know that I am very good at moving metal. I have been welding with my dad since I was knee-high to a duck. I had no idea that I could ever do that as a career. I now get to do it as an engineer and as a Mythbuster. And so it's something that I've always known was a skill or power or strength that I had, that I now can utilize and wield to be able to do bigger things, to make larger contraptions. I also know that one of my powers is, again, my ability to always be curious and learning. So I never hit a garage or a set or a tool shop and don't ask questions. I'm always there. I'm asking questions. I'm probably the most annoying person on the floor, but I'm always learning. Because at the end of the day, again, don't fake it till you make it, learn it till you earn it. So if I want to be able to achieve the strengths and skills that I need to be able to showcase that I don't have them already, because I'm not going to learn them by pretending I have them. So the more we can be honest with ourselves about the skills we possess, the skills we want to possess, the skills we need to possess to achieve what we're looking to achieve in STEM, the better off we're going to be. So if you find that you're not great at math, find a friend that's great at math, because they're the one that you're going to be able to suffer through it with and laugh with and get through those classes that you're going to need as an engineer. They're the ones that are going to be able to show you how to actually find something to enjoy about it. For me, it was organic chemistry. Was not a fan. I didn't understand all the rhymes and the dancing and all of that. I liked stoichiometry. I liked when it made sense. I didn't like when I was just supposed to trust that that's how it worked. So I found a friend that loved the dancing and was super silly and funny. And I never remembered my teacher doing it because, again, it would frustrate me that she wouldn't just explain the actual mechanism. But I always could remember my friend doing silly little dances at 10 o'clock while we were cramming before tests. So try to find the people that, once you recognize what your weaknesses are, have them as strengths, because then you guys can learn together and you get this comradeship that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And it makes all of it a little bit more enjoyable. And the reason that I tell you this is we live in uncertain times. at any given moment, any of us could have to change our career paths or change our club status or change the cities we live in because our parents need to move, or just overall change what we love. But they can take your job, they can take your money, but they can never take your skills. What you learn, you have forever. As long as you practice it and you upkeep it, you'll stay an expert in it. If you don't, you're still at least a beginner novice versus someone that's never even tried. So go out there and try lots of cool stuff, especially when you get into like your STEM groups, you're doing STEM projects, STEM builds. Try out all of the roles, because you're not going to know what you like and what you don't like until you try. And so it's kind of like that failure and design process. We have to fail at being lots of different types of people before we figure out the people we want to be. And so, for instance, when I started in TV, I started as a union actress. And I didn't understand why everyone told me that I wasn't allowed to be a scientist or engineer because I didn't look like one. I used to show up with my degree to auditions to try to prove that that's what I was. But what ended up happening was I learned that I was trying to be a science communicator in television in scripted, when in reality, it's reality TV, which is very odd because you think the Kardashians when you think reality TV, but Mythbusters is reality TV, Shark Week, all of their shows, reality TV. And now you have science communication on Instagram, you have it on YouTube, you have it everywhere. You can science communicate anywhere and everywhere. And having a background in STEM enables you to do it with the credentials that people see you as an expert. And they invite you to come and talk to people. They invite you to go on the news and do demonstrations. They invite you to do shows. But if I hadn't gone and acquired all those skills and used them in all of the wrong places first, I would have never gotten to where I am today. So again, that ability to fail forward and keep trying and remembering who I was, what I enjoyed, and what I believed in kept me on that path when everything else would have taken me off of it. Again, this is just why the confidence is so important. Now, part of what you guys will learn from tomorrow's speaker, so we will hit on it high level here and won't get too in depth, is the importance of owning your unique voice, owning your quirkiness, owning what makes you you, and remembering that there is literally only one you, and you have so much to give the world, and you have so much incredible history with your origins and your building of your strengths and the tackling of your weaknesses and walking the different paths that you've walked and figuring out which of your origins you want to lean into and which ones you want to like leave in the past. All of that builds who you are, and all of that builds your voice, and all of that enables you to start really solving the world's problems. Now, one of the things that statistics have shown is that women who get STEM degrees more often than not end up in healthcare or education when compared to their male counterparts. There's a reason for this, and it's not because obviously, we've talked about this. We're not worse at math. We're not worse at science. We're just as capable in all of them. It's actually because we excel in empathy. So as women, we are nurturers. We tend to see the problems that people are going to have before they have them. We're trying to solve them. We're trying to help them. We're trying to be there for them. So obviously, healthcare and education fields lean heavily into that. So that makes sense. But you can utilize those same skills, the math skills, the science skills, and that empathy in any STEM field, because that empathy is what enables you to look at a world problem like a lack of clean water in most countries and care enough to say, how do we fix this? How do we change it? And so embrace all of those parts of you. If you're an introvert, embrace that, because it probably means that you're a watcher and you're able to analyze quicker than anyone else. If you're an extrovert, Lean into that. It means that you probably can take very complex subject matter and break it down and explain it to anyone. Every single part of who you are is going to build what you bring to the STEM world. And we need that, because in order to truly advance and tackle the complex global issues that we are facing, whether again, it's the availability of to have clean water, or global warming, or a global pandemic, we need diverse voices. We need diverse ideas. We need people that have different origin paths that have gotten them to where they are, because along the way, you've learned so much that you're going to bring into that design room. Now, this is when we don our confidence cape. So, as I said, I know who I am. It's taken me a long time to get here, and I've failed a lot of different ways, but I found the path that's for me. And that is my superhero science, which you guys are seeing fly hard today. Everything comes back to superheroes. It is my love of teaching others and outreach. It is my ability to connect science to anything. I'm literally doing a show right now called Maker Science, where I'm taking artisanal crafts from the shop floor and I'm teaching the STEM behind them. And that is amazing to me, because people that work with their hands are often thought to not be the same people that work with their brains, but they know so many STEM things that they just don't even recognize as STEM things. And that's where the confidence cape is going to come from. Is it's going to be, what are you truly passionate about? What is that skill that you've developed more than anything else because you just love it? It's if you had no sleep at all for days, it's still the one thing that you'd be willing to do no matter what. It's the thing that you would do for no money forever if you could. So what we're going to do now is we'll do a breakout where you're going to look at your unique qualities and your passions and see where they combine with STEM. Because what your cape does is it gives you not only your superpowers, but it defines you. And so when you're putting on your confidence cape finally, when you're donning it, you want to make sure that it's something that is going to be there when things get hard. And so I know that if things get hard, I still want to sit down and read comics. I still want to watch superhero movies, because I want to be reminded that one person can make a difference, that the world can be inclusive and diverse, and that anyone can be a superhero like Batgirl or Tony Stark or any of them, as long as they have some tech abilities and are willing to try and fail and build. I mean, look at how many times he fell out of the Iron Man suit before it finally worked, right? So what you're going to do now is you're going to figure out what is that thing that still connects to STEM that can give you that break when you need it, but still inspire you to move forward. So we're going to break back out, and then we're going to come back and share. So make sure that if you want to share when you come back, actually put your hand up right away so that we can grab you quicker.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
If you had a good discussion.
And remember, if you would like to share what you've done, feel free to put your hand up. We'll be able to take 2 people, and then we're gonna move forward so that we can not keep you guys too late.
We already have one. So y'all, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not. I apologize if that's not right. So let's just wait a minute more so that everybody comes back. And then how do you pronounce your name? Iniyaal.
Iniyaal.
Iniyaal? Okay, Iniyaal. Great. Okay, I think we're probably all back.
Okay. Do you want to share with us what your confidence cape is that you will be donning?
So I know that I'm a good leader and that I can talk to people and get other people involved in whatever we're doing. I know whenever like you're doing a group project, there's always like some people that tend to like back off and like not participate as much. And I've always like been the person to get everyone involved and like create that environment. So I know I'm good at that, and I'm good when I'm like organizing people, like giving other people like different like slices of what to do, but not so much when it comes to me personally. But I think that would be like good to use in a STEM career, because like leading a team, I think that's good to use in any career really, but I think like maybe leading a team of engineers would be like cool to do.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. So there's two different ways that you can be in leadership. There's obviously direct management, which we're all used to, like a boss versus employee standpoint, but there's also project team leadership. So that happens a lot in engineering, where you might own an entire design project and you'll have people that are contributing to your project that they don't actually direct report into you. So you can't make them do anything, but instead, what you can do when you're a project team lead is you're working to inspire the people that are with you to see that they're working on a project together, that they're combining their resources, and you're trying to get their buy-in to move forward. So the fact that you already know you're very strong at leading people and being able to get them to want to help, that's going to be very useful in those ways. And you can also utilize that in any STEM teams that you're in, any sports teams, any friends groups. You know, as a natural born leader, it's something that comes out in lots of different places. So that cape's going to work all over for you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And do we have anyone else that would like to share? No pressure. So obviously we've talked today about the three things that I think truly define a superhero. And so everyone thinks it's the superhero's powers and it's their technology. But what actually enables a superhero to be a superhero is their confidence. They're able to believe in themselves, no matter what the world is saying, no matter who they're up against. They know who they are. They know what makes them strong, what makes them weak. They've learned how to work around those weaknesses, because obviously every supervillain is going to know what their weakness is and is going to be trying to exploit it. So they have to be just as aware of their strengths as their weaknesses, and they embrace failure. They know that they're going to go out there and they're going to be outside their comfort zone, and they're going to be in danger, and they're going to be pushing the bounds and limitations, and they're going to fail a lot. But again, they know why they're doing it. They know why they put the confidence cape on every day. They know that they're helping people, and they know that they're moving the world forward. So I'm going to wrap out with my last two takeaways that I try to make sure that everyone has when they hear from me. And I'm just trying to share this with everyone, it seems. Okay, I found the right button, I promise. So learning and achieving for yourself is not enough. You have to share the knowledge. You have to give those skills back to the world, and that's how you make your difference. So you all now know what you want your confidence cape to be, and you know how you want to use it in STEM, but also think about how you can use it in your communities. How can you use it out in the world? So again, I use my superhero science at free comic book days all over the nation to inspire kids. I use it at STEM camps. I go and travel the world with my engineering skills. I went to Puerto Rico. I've been to Bolivia. I've been all over Europe, bringing in renewable energies to different cultures. So as you develop and hone these skills, start thinking of how you can pay it forward, and not just in a volunteering way, but also as a mentor. Because again, you all are very used to the stepwise mentorship program. That's what you guys do with Scijinks, where you have a mentor that's in the field that's able to coach you through it, or you have a teacher, or you have an actual literal coach, or a parent, or a parent's friend, or an adult in your life that's able to guide you. But you also want to ensure you have your peer mentors. So we talked about that today. Hopefully you all have been networking and building up lots of relationships here. But the next step is, as you learn your skills, like we talked about earlier, you want to start sharing those with people that are younger than you, that are trying to come up that same path, because every moment is a chance to mentor someone who wants to one day walk in your shoes. So why not bring them along for the journey? And with that in mind, I will leave you with this. The strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. And you all are now in my wolf pack officially. So these are my social medias. Reach out to me, right? If you do, please, in the first line of your message, say where you came from, mention this event so that I know to follow you and to be able to listen, because it does get inundated. So I read first lines. And if you were at a STEM event or at one of my talks, I add you and we talk, and any questions you have, please feel free to ask. I have a group of like 50 kids already in one chat room that I mentor. So the more the merrier. I just want to be here for all of you, not just in this talk, but outside of it as well. So I will throw these in the chat so that you have them as well. But if anyone has questions, we're going to kind of do this in twofold ways. And I'm not sure if Marquita is back in here and wants to talk through those ways for questions.
Yes. Can you guys hear me pretty well? Awesome. So I've been having a little tech issues, you know, the magic of technology. It wins, and then sometimes it just doesn't want to be your friend. So tonight I had a not my friend moment. So I apologize for that. But what we're going to do for Q&A is that we're going to have you guys either email us at swijinks@swi.org, or you can post your questions to Tamara in the Google Classroom. And what we're going to do is package all of those questions up, and then she's going to do kind of like an after show where she'll go ahead and respond to all of your questions, and we'll go ahead and post that inside of the Google Classroom and also within the Sheila playlist as well. Sound good? Everybody good with that? Nod your head. Give me a yes in the comment section. Okay, cool. Awesome. So that's what we'll do. We ran out of time, but it was a good thing, right? Because we covered a whole lot of ground here. So not a bad way. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, I just realized I failed to put a slide in for the post assignment. So you guys have, Marquita will explain where that is after this, but in that is a link. So I co-produce a STEM comic called Seekers of Science, or SOS for short, and we tackle real world problems with real living scientists and tech. So check that out. The link is the first 2 issues digitally free. And then your post-work assignment will come from that, but also taking into account what you've learned here today and continuing down that journey of figuring out what kind of skills you might want to add to your arsenal and tool belt, because every superhero has a tool belt. You can't see it, but there's a belt.
Or all those tools in the background that you see.
Oh yeah, those tools.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Well, of course, we have had a wonderful session tonight. I think we all can agree we learned something great. Don't go just yet. We got a couple things left to cover, just so that you all are up to date on what you need to do from here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really fast, just to kind of walk you through the last few slides. All right. So I missed this in the beginning, but I wanted to make sure when I close out for Tamara that I give her all of the recognition that I think she deserves for building out this awesome suit that you should be seeing on the screen now this go round.
We're not.
Oh, you're not seeing it? Okay, yeah, this is fun. You know, we're gonna roll with the crazy today. That's what's happening with my computer. Can you guys see this now? Is it happening for us now? Are we sharing now?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see now? Awesome. Okay, we'll try this again. On demand audience, you guys are getting all of the good stuff right now as well. So I apologize for any of these things. You can just skip right through all those messed up parts. But I did want to show you this cool build out of the suit that she created herself. I thought it was super cool. Had to share that with you guys if you hadn't seen it before in some of those other little shots. Just a really great example of like her origin story and now where she is, right? You see her in the suit. So and she's wearing it well, might I add. So I want to send out a special thank you to Tamara for joining us this evening. Please show her some love in the chat. We really appreciate everything that you've given us tonight. I know I walked away with some really great pieces, and I definitely agree with all of the comments that mentioned that you have some great quotables, number one, like things that you can really think about and remember as you go on. But just the concepts are amazing of how we can tie in those ideas of superheroes and superpowers and apply it to our own lives. So don't forget any of this stuff, because it will apply to your takeaway assignment as well as your post work that you will have for this session as well. So without further ado, I'm going to ask you guys to kind of go and review the lessons learned or quick wins right now. So you should know by now how to understand the difference between defining your origin story as a form of guidance versus your origin story defining your future, right? Knowing the difference, because you have that opportunity there to make those changes. It does not define you, just where you came from, it's where you're going. Recognize the process of failing forward and how important it is for sharpening your leadership skills. Identify your strengths and weaknesses to find your STEM powers and how to use them to fuel your passion for a successful STEM career. So hopefully you guys learned all of those things and more. So let us know what you think within the post-event survey here. As you can see, we have the QR code. Just use your mobile device to either click into the survey there or it will be available in your reminder emails that you get after the end of each session. So go ahead and make sure you watch out for that. A special, and I'm going to keep this on the screen for a little bit. And you know what I'll do is I'll kind of go out of order. And so what I'll address now is a couple questions that I've had from a lot of you all via email and also within the Google Classroom. So all the on-demand recordings are going to be made available after each session within 24 to 48 hours. Give us a little time to make sure that we edit in post-production and get it uploaded to you all as soon as possible, but that's usually going to be the window. If we don't get it within the 24 to 48 hour window, it'll be up there by the end of each summit session. The takeaway assignments will all be posted within their respective topic folders. So if you notice, you'll get notified of a new assignment or a new post, whether it's a material or a video or any of those things. You'll get notified within the classroom of when things are getting posted, and they'll be in their respective topic folders. They'll be labeled by each program track, so you'll know exactly where to find all the information. Keep in mind, you only need to be mindful of the FY22 documents, materials, or recordings. Anything that is not labeled that way, you don't need to worry about, but you can feel free to view that information as well. All of the assignments are going to be Google Forms. Okay, so if you have any trouble getting into the Google form, just let me know. But there'll be Google Forms that you guys can easily click into within the Google Classroom. But if you're having any difficulty with the links, because I've heard that a lot, just let me know. Just email me and I'll make sure to get that takeaway assignment to you. Also, make sure to remember that your FY22 SHLA agenda has the links to all of the sessions. So you will not miss a session, promise that. You have calendar invites, you have reminder emails, and then you also get the FY22 SHLA agenda. So just make sure you're looking at all those documents and checking your email daily so you don't miss a thing, okay? A small reminder, you only need to complete 10 assignments, whether it's live or on demand, that you're either watching it or participating live. You can just do 10 and you're good to go to get your certificate of program completion and also participate in the graduation ceremony in April, okay? So the post work will also be added to the classroom, and you also, as a reward, will get the free issues of the Seekers of Science, courtesy of Tamara, because of course that is something she's been talking about for our whole session. And guess what, you guys all get to have that as well. So I will give you access to that within the classroom, so don't worry about that as either. You'll get that all posted in the classroom. And anybody who's like, I don't know if I'm added or I'm having a little difficulty getting into the classroom, all you need to do is email me at swijinks@swi.org or directly. That's fine. I've gotten a lot of emails that way, and I'll make sure that you're either added or that you've at least received the invite link as well as the class code. So, you know, all that information sounds like a lot, right? But you get to watch this back if you missed anything, as well as, again, I will be making sure that you guys are aware of this stuff every session, just to make sure no one misses any piece of information. And hopefully while I was doing all that, you were completing your survey. So, all right, we're closing us out. Thank you to our Sheila sponsors, Motorola Solution Foundation and Turner Construction, because of course, without them, there would be no us being able to bring you virtual content for these summits. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys, show them some love, show Tamara some love. And again, thank you all for joining us this evening for this live learning opportunity for the Scijinks High School Leadership Academy. This one is titled Donning Your Confidence Cape, Finding or Embracing Your STEM Powers. Again, thank you all, and I hope to see you all for tomorrow's session, again at 6:30 p.m. CT. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.